Alright, we're back with another game. Looking pretty good as far as starts goes. I like the mallard and the red-winged blackbird. Great tit is expensive, but it's a good food-gaining bird. Backyard birder and food web expert are our bonus cards. Birds worth less than 4 points. Looks like we could set up a wetlands engine here, maybe hope for a mute swan or a chiff-chaff for some more tucking birds. Backyard birder could be good, but it takes 5 birds to get there. If I get 2 worm-eating birds, food web expert will be better. But it's kind of a bit of a dilemma here. If I had a worm-eating bird in my hand, I'd probably take food web, but I think I'm just going to try to make a wetlands tucking engine work here. Worm and a wheat. Round 1 goal is food cost of played birds, so we're probably not going to do great contending for that. Round 2 is birds in the grasslands. Not really ideal for what we want to try to do here, but maybe we just draw into some good grassland birds. So we'll see how that goes. I am going to keep the great tit for my food gaining bird. So I need a cherry for that. So what's the bird feeder look like? We have a cherry and a couple wheat there. And the great tit lets you flip the bird feeder before gaining food. So I think I want all of these birds, I think. Great tit, the mallard, and the red-winged blackbird. So I'm going to have to take a hit on food here. So there's more wheat than the other 2 food types I need. So I think I'm going to keep a worm and a cherry. And then our turn 1 pick, our turn 1 action is going to be to gain that wheat out of the bird feeder. Backyard birder is not normally a card I want to see unless you kind of play a late game bonus card bird and you happen to already be qualifying for it, but kind of get the feeling here we're going to be leaning into some low point value birds with tucking options. Backyard birder can be good, but it's just, it takes 5 birds to get to the bottom end, and that's usually tough to meet that qualification. So my opponent kept standard food spread, 2 cards. So what are we going to do here? We are going to take our wheat for the great tit. Nothing amazing in the tray, so we really didn't gain any great advantage for going first, but that also kind of blocks my opponent as well. There's nothing going to be amazing for them to grab here. They're gonna, if they want to draw cards, they're probably going to go off the top of the deck. Little Bittern isn't a terrible card dropper, but definitely not the type you want to see. So my opponent has played Common Nightingale, one of my favorite birds, into their wetlands. So I hope that doesn't mean that they have a chiff-chaff in hand. But the good news is that they're going to be handing us some food here. So it kind of makes me want to play my wetland birds, but really, since my other 2 birds cost 1 food, if they hand out a worm or a wheat, I'm going to be on deck to play those birds. So I think I'm just going to secure my food gaining option, and the great tit does help with the round 1 goal of food cost, so that's pretty good as well. Nice large nest, although I don't know if we're going to be able to take real advantage of that. So I suspect my opponent is going to draw cards here and hand out a food. Maybe they'll lay eggs in order to spend an egg to get that second card. It's a common tactic people employ. Try to maximize their draw card action. So there we see a grasshopper sparrow in the grasslands. So I really suspect now that my opponent is going to lay eggs. They're going to get that better activation, pick up the extra egg, and then they're going to draw cards and gain food, probably spending the extra egg. They have 1 worm on deck. So I need food now. And let's grab the wheat because we can use that. And let's flip the bird feeder. And I guess we're grabbing another wheat. No worms. Doesn't hurt us right now, but could hurt us a bit later. It would be really great if our opponent handed us a worm. We'll see what they got on deck here. I suspect the lay egg action is coming. Take a sip of my coffee here. I really like this Sakura background, it's called. Very colorful. The cherry blossom leaves falling is pretty good animation. So my opponent did lay eggs as expected. So they're probably going to draw cards here and discard their egg. I am going to throw down the mallard. Actually, let's throw down, let me think about this. So if I have the mallard to the right of the blackbird, I can maximize the amount of cards I see in hand, and any bad ones I can then discard to the blackbird. If it's the other way around, I have one less card to make a decision about. So let's actually put the blackbird down first. And I could draw cards here and hopefully have a bad one to tuck on the blackbird for an egg. But I might just go with the lay egg action here. Throw down the mallard, and then just really have the maximum output for my draw card action here. So we're already going to have 2 birds down, and we did get the worm from our opponent. I kind of suspected they'd be coming. But we already have 2 birds ready to go for backyard birders, so we only need to get down 3 more. So my opponent has double worms. I wonder if that could be European bee eater. Although I would be kind of suspect of that, given they put the nightingale in the wetlands. But could be the bee eater. It could be a swallow. I believe violet green swallow has a double worm cost. Could be American oyster catcher. So I think I am going to just lay eggs here in preparation for our mallard. And my opponent is probably going to, let's see, I was going to say probably win the round goal, but I forgot that my great tick costs 3 food, so we have a very commanding lead on this round goal here. Barring any type of outrageous plays from my opponent. So they dropped California Condor. Interesting play. Getting that second body in the wetlands to improve their card drawing. So they wanted to... They probably drew the Condor off their last draw card action. Because why would you hand out the worm and then play the Condor? Or you take the draw card action and then play the Condor, because you could have just played the Condor and then drawn more cards. So I suspect they just grabbed that, and that actually doesn't help them for the round goal, so that's kind of nice. But anytime your opponent starts massing bonus cards, it's kind of a scary prospect, because you can just score so many points there. So we'll throw down our mallard, and then we're going to draw cards, and hopefully we see something great. We'll be drawing off the top of the deck. Little Bittern does help with Backyard Birder, but it's just, at this point in the game, I think we have a good enough card drawing capability, and the qualities of the Bittern just aren't that great to warrant the fish and the worm food cost, especially. It's just, this bird really should cost 1 food, in my opinion. So let's see, my opponent is probably going to either play a bird with this double worm cost, or they're going to draw cards again. So they did draw cards, and they handed out a fish. Interesting, so that kind of opens the door to Little Bittern there, but I wonder if they don't have... I hope that isn't Franklin's Gull. But again, that kind of... They may have drawn into it, but that kind of clashes with the nightingale in the wetlands, but could very well be it. Could be another card drawing bird for their wetlands. So with that fish in our back pocket, we'll draw some cards. Harrier is not terrible. Does qualify for backyard birder. Brown's cowbird could be really great if they do transition to their grasslands, especially with the round 2 bonus coming up. And that could be our bird in the grasslands, so that's a pretty good pull. Draw another card here. Bullfinch is not terrible. Good food gaining bird, lines up with backyard birder. And honestly, I don't know that I'm going to tuck a card here. What would it be? Harrier isn't terrible. We could throw that in our grasslands. I think I'm going to skip the blackbird. We're actually making very good progress toward backyard birder here, so it's looking like that was the correct pick from the starting hand. Sometimes you really gotta look forward into the end game and look longer term rather than short term, because backyard birder kind of has the stigma of being a bad bonus card, I feel, in the community. But there have been those times where I've not taken it from the starting hand and then not regretted it, or I have regretted it later rather, because that's just the way the game went with a bunch of cheap not forest engine, but just generally cheap engine birds that were really good. So my opponent drew cards again, and they handed out a wheat, which is pretty great. Love to have that free food. I could force down the bullfinch here, but how are we doing on the round goal? My opponent could try to play some double play here. 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 food cost birds. A 1 and a 2 cost bird is what I'm trying to say. And that would allow them to tie the round goal with a PAB play. Could gain food here. There's no worms, which I need. There's a cherry and a wheat. Doing okay on wheat, but I could really use that cherry. Would flip the bird feeder again. I have 1 activation left, so unless they do a double play, we're going to win the round goal. So I think, in the interest of improving my food gain and building toward backyard birder, I'm going to gain food here, take the cherry, and let's take the worm for our cowbird. And let's see what my opponent does. They have plenty of food here. Hopefully that's not white stork as well. That would be pretty aggravating. I've been getting beat a lot by Franklin's Gull and white stork lately, and it's not fun, to say the least, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So yeah, I'm really looking at this bullfinch. We're going to be going second in round 2, so we're going to want to get that cowbird down. So they did do a double play to tie the round goal. Interesting tray. Let's take a look at my opponent's board. Oh, so they played spoonbill. Okay. A 3 food cost bird. I had it in my head that a double play was the way to go, but another bonus card bird. So they don't really have much of an engine going, and the fact that they burned up the fish kind of throws Franklin's Gull out the window, which is pretty great in my opinion. So now, when they're drawing cards, they're just gaining 2 cards and a food. They're not really building a good wetland engine, which is, I don't mind seeing these white powers, but again, the bonus cards can add up to quite a bit by the end of the game, but right now with only 4 birds on the board, it's not having a huge impact. And we do get another wheat from my opponent. Kind of liking the look of that blue-winged warbler. We could play it in the grasslands. So my opponent is out of eggs. So if they're going to play another bird, they have to lay eggs here. I would like to get the cowbird down, but I think I have to go for this warbler. I'd be losing a point on the egg, but I'd be gaining a lot of points off the warbler and making further progress toward the round goal. And we could just see something even better. Let's draw off the deck first. Nothing too great there. Let's draw our Warbler. And let's tuck the Eleanor's Falcon. Now we pick up another egg. Canvasback flips up. I don't mind that. A lot of wetland birds showing up. So I think now I'm going to throw down the cowbird unless something incredible pops up in the tray. I need a rat for this harrier. It is in the tray. So we see a nuthatch in the forest from my opponent. They're looking on building their food production. I don't mind that play. Let's throw down the cowbird. Take advantage of their future lay egg actions. Although looking now at my cup nest situation, blackbird is the only cup nest I have, but the bullfinch and the warbler are going to help solve that problem. So I think we'll actually probably go with the bullfinch next, and then we'll try to gain worms for our warbler, putting the warbler into the grasslands to help with the round goal. So my opponent gained food. Looks like they grabbed the rat. Hopefully that's not a raven. So let's throw down this bullfinch. Burn the egg off the blackbird. Really don't want to see a raven here. They have the 3 food for it. And I'm going to gain food here. Hope for worms and rats. So there we see the lay egg action from my opponent. Let's throw that down on the bullfinch. Getting our free egg. Our cowbird went down just in time. So they needed to lay eggs in order to play another bird here. So this, I'm really getting the feeling that a raven is coming here. But we're kind of entering into the second half of round 2. A raven can still put in a lot of work here for my opponent. But the longer we hold that raven at bay, or the longer it takes them rather to play it, the better it will be for us. So I need to gain food here. I don't want either one of these, but I'm gaining such a large volume of food. I think I will take the cherry for some diversity. I don't have an imminent need for the wheat, and I already have one. So let's gain... So the bullfinch is going to gain a wheat or a cherry, and the gray tit will grab anything. So it's more likely that we're going to see some worms. So let's grab the rat for our harrier. Take the wheat here. And let's take the worm for our warbler. So a nice little food gain action here. Plenty of diversity for our food spread. We are lacking the worm we need for the warbler. 3 activations left in the round. My opponent only has 1 bird in the grasslands. Could be a raven coming up here for 2. We'll play our harrier for our second bird. Go down to 2 activations. And if we draw or gain food again and manage to pick up a second worm, we can then play the warbler into the grasslands and win the round goal. Unless my opponent then also, if they throw down that raven, they'll be able to lay eggs, gain food, and then play a third bird into the grasslands as well. So right now it's looking like a lot of potential for being a tie on the round goal. What does my opponent have in store? Yellowhammer. Okay, so that makes me feel better that a raven isn't coming. This is probably just some predator bird. They've got their activations lined up for Yellowhammer. And I suspect that this rat-eating predator is going to be a grassland bird that they're going to try to drop off the Yellowhammer here. And maybe they actually take the gain food action to better supplement what they have in their hand for the Yellowhammer. It'll be interesting to see what they have going on. So I don't like the bird feeder as it is. So let's give my opponent the opportunity to pick at that bird feeder. And we'll play our Harrier here. Clear off our cup nest for the cowbird. Not that we really need a lot of nest space cleared, but that's just being efficient. So we're tying on the wrong goal now. I suspect, as I said before, my opponent's probably going to drop a third grassland bird here off the Yellowhammer. So they're not really developing any type of major engine. Now they've really committed to this Yellowhammer strategy, so I think things are looking good. We're kind of neck and neck right now. I feel like I have the better board position, but anything can happen yet. We're going to be crossing over the halfway point of the game. So my opponent laid eggs. Interesting. So they feel like they have the food they need to play a bird here. They gained 4 eggs. They have a nice egg-laying action here with 4 eggs, so that's always kind of scary for late-game egg spam. So I have 2 activations left. I need a worm. So let's take a rat for diversity. Let's take another wheat because that's always good. My bullfinch is going to pick up a wheat or a cherry here. Let's take another cherry. Let's flip this bird feeder and we will get a worm, thankfully. And now, as planned, we can play our warbler into the grasslands. Gives us another cup nest for our cowbird, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. And now we're only 1 bird away from scoring on Backyard Birder. So that's pretty nice. So my opponent has 1 activation left. They could just lay eggs again, or they could gain some more food. Preparing themselves for the next round. And what I think they're drawing cards here actually, which would make sense to give them more options to play off their Yellowhammer, but with a single food, those options are going to be limited unless they get a Benelli or an Eastern Imperial, which would be pretty devastating. So they did draw cards and they gave us another wheat, which is good. Let's throw on our warbler. And I'm really going to want to take the draw card action next to give me some better options here. Look for our future plays. But we've had a very solid game so far. Don't really have a great engine set up. In the beginning, I was talking about building out this wetlands, but we drew some pretty good options here. So we did win the wrong goal. And what do we got in the tray? Looks like a bunch of junk. The white-faced ibis is a good bomb. Greater flamingo isn't going to do anything for us, and the shrike is just kind of garbage in general. So we did see a forest bird off my opponent's Yellowhammer using the rat. So how are we looking on the round goal? We're neck and neck right now. I need to draw cards. I don't think this snipe is something I want to play. I don't have the worms. Doesn't qualify for my bonus card. And I really don't want to hand a Yellowhammer a bunch of extra card options. So let's draw some cards here. There's the Chiff Chaff. I wonder if I don't transition here now. Round 3 Chiff Chaff? I don't know. Let's see what else we get. Woodcock is a good bomb. Ibis is a good bomb as well. Filled columns is the round 4 goal. Chiff Chaff does qualify for Backyard Birder. It would be our 5th bird. It would fill our 3rd column, or it would be our wetland bird for the 3rd column. The Ibis is just a good bomb in general. I think I will take it. Hopefully we don't flip up anything amazing for my opponent. We'll tuck the snipe here. Swason's Hawk. Not amazing. I don't think it's something particularly my opponent will want to play unless they have Falconer or Rodentologist. Could be why they went for the Broad-Winged Hawk. That could just be coincidence. If they grab the Hawk, I think we'll kind of know that they have one of those 2 bonus cards. So now if I throw down this Chiff-Chaff and just start drawing cards, my opponent gained food, so they're gearing up to play bird here. So if I throw down this Chiff-Chaff, gets me on the board for points with Backyard Birder, then I would have a 3, 4, 5 point engine as long as my Blackbird is empty. As opposed to gaining food, I need a lot of worms here. I think I kind of just want to throw this Chiff-Chaff down and just start drawing cards and see what I get. I have plenty of food, but I'm lacking worms. Could force something down. If my opponent hands me some worms off their Nightingale, that's just going to help me. So I'm going to keep these bombs in my back pocket. We'll use the cherry here. Actually, since we have a surplus of wheat, let's use the wheat. Burn the egg off the Blackbird. So here we have a late game Chiff-Chaff, just past the second half. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. Usually this type of play I've seen done, you drop the Chiff-Chaff or the Chaffinch into the forest to convert a bunch of cards into points there while gaining food, but with this position I think it really makes sense to throw it in the wetlands and just draw a bunch more cards, because our card options in hand aren't that amazing. We have some good bombs on deck, but we really have almost half the game left, so we really could dig for just those superior options. And maybe we find a couple of good engine birds for the grasslands or the wetlands. I mean, this could turn into a late game tucking engine here. We don't need to worry about eggs. Cowbird is helping us there, Blackbird is helping us there. And this really could just convert into a wetlands Chiff-Chaff engine in the late game. It's pretty amazing. Lots of food on deck, lots of eggs potentially available. So there's a Corsican Nuthatch from my opponent, another bonus card from them. So they're really pushing this bonus card strategy, which is scary because you never really know how well your opponent is doing. As they get more birds on the board, these bonus cards are worth more and more points. So they're going to need to, in order to activate their Yellowhammer, they're going to need a lay egg action, so we'll pick up an egg there, and they're going to need to draw cards. And I don't know if they'll look at our food surplus and just think that my food situation is very well off, for lack of a better term, so they're more incentivized to hand us more food. And quite frankly, with these bombs on deck and potential bombs coming, I will take all the food that they can give me. So let's draw our cards here. They didn't take the Swason's Hawk. Moltoni's Atlantic Puffin, that's exactly the type of card we want to see. So let's tuck the Moltoni's here. I think I'm going to keep these bombs in my back pocket. Bittern is another good bomb, but not quite as good as what I have. I think I will tuck the Bittern here, because I don't know that I'm going to have the turns to get the food and then play all of these birds, and this is the worst bird I have access to right now. So now I want to gain food here and get this Puffin down. So that's kind of going to, just drawing this Puffin has kind of decided what my actions going forward are going to be. I really have a lot of points here. Puffin is the best example of this, and this Woodcock is probably on deck for round 4 to fill up my third column, and it looks like my opponent is working on that as well. So they did hand out a worm to us, which is great. could force down the ibis. I think since a fish is in the tray, I think I'm going to take it. I have 3 activations left. Could gain food and play 2 birds. Tied with my opponent. They're way behind on food. They're going to need to lay eggs here in order to activate their Yellowhammer. So I could gain food here and play 2 more birds, and we did get another fish, which is great. Let's take the wheat here, and we need lots and lots of worms. Let's take the split face to deny as much wheat as possible. Not that that is really hurting my opponent, but they are at 0 wheat. They have been handing out a lot of wheat lately. Or this game, rather, so. Now we can drop the puffin. And we can drop the woodcock. Ah, so they did grab the Swason's hawk. So that could, as I said before, that's probably falconer or rodentologist. Might be prairie manager as well. They could be seeing, they got 4 bonus cards, so they could have just about anything here. So let's answer with our puffin. And I need 2 eggs. So I need my opponent to lay eggs here, which is what they're probably going to do if they want this Yellowhammer. Then I would need 1 more egg after that then, in order to... Oh, it's only going to take 1 egg for my woodcock in column 3. So that's what I really need here, is for my opponent to lay eggs. Wildlife Gardener, not amazing, but it is scoring us 4 points. And Forester doesn't look like... I mean, it's got potential, but I'm going to go with the guaranteed points here. And hopefully my opponent lays some eggs. Take advantage of their just played Swason's hawk. And they only have 1 fish. They have 2 activations left, so they could lay eggs and gain food to prepare. They have plenty of cards in hand, so they could drop just about anything here. Savannah Sparrow might be a good target for them to do a double play into their grasslands off the Yellowhammer, but I don't think they have the time to make that happen with only 2 activations left. I really suspect that lay eggs and gain food will be their last 2 activations. So there's the egg we need. They're spreading their eggs around. They could have Oologist, but that's just a good practice to do in general, just in case you see Oologist. So let's now throw down the woodcock. Oh, this cowbird is really coming through for us. And we need a fish and 2 worms for this ibis. It's getting to the point now. We're entering into round 4. Is it worthwhile to just lay eggs? I have plenty of food to take advantage of this bonus conversion. But this Chiff Chaff makes my wetland engine a pretty good activation. I have to hold 1 card back from the Chiff Chaff for the Blackbird. Could tuck the ibis. Doesn't line up with any of my bonus cards. I would have 4 tucks on the Chiff Chaff. I could draw a card off the Mallard. And if it's bad, I can tuck it on the Blackbird. So that would be a 4, 5, 6 point activation, which is better than what my Grasslands is pulling down. I could get 4, potentially 5 off the Harrier. And then with drawing cards, not only is it better points, but then I'm getting the potential to see like Benelli's Eagle and Eastern Imperial Eagle, which is pretty great. You always want to see those birds by the end of the game. And you don't want your opponent to have them. So my opponent seems to be thinking about their Yellowhammer here. And if they do manage to play a bird, they will tie us on the wrong goal. So I see that coming. We've had a very solid game so far. I'm pretty pleased with it. The flow has been good. We haven't really been starved for any resources. Cowbird is coming through amazingly for us. Doing okay on our bonus cards. We've been doing really well on the round goals, keeping neck and neck with my opponent. So they did drop a bird off the Yellowhammer here. Mockingbird. So that's going to help their Sparrow here big time. 4, 5, 6, potentially 7-point engine here at the end. So that's pretty scary. And we have a 4, 5, 6-point engine. And they have a bunch of bonus cards. So now things kind of turn the other direction. I feel like there's a Franklin's Gull. So they drew cards here and handed out a fish. We need that for the Ibis. So they're not just going to spam eggs here. They drew cards. So why would they do that? They really wanted a fish and they didn't want to gamble with the bird feeder. So that draw card action cost them 4, 5, 6, and maybe 7 points. So what? And any bird they play costs 2 eggs. So, but it could be fulfilling multiple bonus cards. So that must be what they have, is a big point bird that's going to fulfill some bonus cards here. It's going to be better than 7 points. We have Puffin, so it can't be that. So let's draw cards here. What do we got going on for our bonus cards? Can we fill out this 4th column? Can they fill out this 4th column? They have plenty of cards in hand. So let's just draw our cards. The duck isn't going to do anything. Bewick's Wren is garbage. Partridge is too late in the game. I have the food for it, and it's only going to get 1 egg on the Puffin. But it does work to fill column 4. It's the 6th bird for Backyard Birder. This is going. Interesting. So then I would have 3 activations left. It's a -1 point play to play the bird on the board. I would really have to get a forest bird down. And there's just not enough. The Puffin only has 1 egg on its nest. So I think I am going to let the Partridge go here. The question is, do I keep the Ibis? Doesn't help with the round goal or the bonus cards. It would be a 6-point play. And I'm getting 4, 5, 6 points off my wetlands currently, as long as my Blackbird is open. So I am going to tuck it. Let's get a card from the Mallard. Great Crested Greed doesn't help us, so we'll tuck it. So kind of a weird late game chiff-chaff going on here. And if we see something really great, we definitely have the food to make it happen. If we draw into a double bird, PAB bird, 3, 4, maybe 5 points. Definitely going to win any tiebreakers. Usually having this much food laying around at the end of the game is a bad deal, but right now I kind of like it. Because if I draw something amazing, I can just immediately get it on the board. Although I am lacking an egg, I'm going to need to lay 1 more egg. So my opponent does play a Sparrowhawk here. So they're minimizing their egg spam. So they must have these bonus cards they have are really coming through for them. And they're working on filling the fourth column to win the round goal. It could be they have three activations left. They need to gain food and lay eggs to activate their Yellowhammer. So I'm just going to draw cards again. Well, those bonus cards are just really scary. Flycatcher. Missing the worms. I could force it down. It would be a 6-point play. It is a cup nest. But how many activations do I really... After this I'll have 3? Or is that... Sometimes there's a bug with this counter. It doesn't show the correct turn. Let's tuck this. Let's tuck this. I managed to play... If I could get the flycatcher down and then play a forest cup nest bird, that would give me a fourth column to tie my opponent, because I think they're going to pull that off. But it's just not guaranteed. Getting 4, 5, 6 points. Flycatcher plus 1 forest bird with a cup nest could do it. I really don't think going after this round goal is worth it, because I just don't know if I'm going to see the cards I need. Just keep sticking with this engine I have. It's 3, 4, 5 points right now. Really is my best prospect. It's a guaranteed points. If I had 2 cup nest birds right now, one of them being in the forest, the other being the flycatcher, I could make that call now, but I'm going to go with the safe play here. Titmouse could be good for a double play. It's a cavity nest bird. Do I give up 2 points now for this? I have plenty of food. I really need to see another forest bird. That's of significant points. I think I am just going to tuck the titmouse. I have one more activation to go before my blackbird fills up. So then I'm going to have to make a judgment call on what I'm going to do next. It would be really great to see some type of big bomb that would make use of the food I have, but even then it's going to be a 6-point play. That's probably not working with my bonus cards. So my opponent gained food, so we see 3 fish there. I have the puffin. Might be a great egret. No rat though. So let's draw cards again. Night heron. So I kind of lost sight of backyard bird here. That titmouse could have been the 6th bird, and then if I had played a 7th bird, like the nuthatch, but it's costing me 4 eggs to do that, so it's kind of a wash. Song sparrow's garbage. This night heron is a 7-point bird. I think I am going to keep that, because my engine is 3, 4, 5, and I need to burn 2 eggs off my blackbird here. Kingbird can go to the blackbird. Yeah, I just don't think pursuing this 4th column would have been productive compared to just drawing cards and scoring these points, scoring a decent amount of points. The points I would have gained with the round goal, I think, are equivalent to the points I'm gaining running my engine here. Just doing the gut feeling math check here. I'm sure someone in the comments after the fact will tell me how I did something wrong. So finally we get an extra egg from our opponent. Let's throw that down on the bullfinch. Let's throw down the heron. Need the fish and the rat. Let's use a wheat and a cherry. Burn off these 2 eggs. Nice 7-point activation. And then my last activation will be to draw cards and tuck everything on the chiff chaff. And the blackbird. I could spend the egg and just convert it into a card on the chiff chaff. But yeah, I think we kind of fell behind here. Nice solid 90 points. We'll get 94 with the round goal. Get close to 100 here. Very good game in that respect. And it's really going to boil down to whether my opponent has been able to do really well with these bonus cards. And they could have Eastern Imperial. If they have Benelli, they can drop it right here for a huge amount of points. But I definitely, especially with these fish, I expect another wetland bird here, and it could be a bonus card bird, which would just be even more scary. So things are very close right now. Thankfully we did okay on our bonus cards. I think I will spend the egg just for the heck of it. See another card. Nothing amazing. Skip the night heron. Tuck everything under the chiff chaff. Draw here. That would have been nice to have earlier. But we have been short on worms, so. Alright, well, that's going to do it. We got 96. We'll hit 100 even. Very good game. And my opponent do better than 100 is the question. These bonus cards are really going to be the deciding factor, as well as this last bird that they play here. Plenty of food for it. Gonna win the round goal. Picking up an extra 3 points. Well, it would be 2 points if we ended up tying, because we'd both get 5. So by winning, they're just picking up an extra 2. So it looks less scary. So they did win the round goal. Alright, if you like that action, please hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. And stay tuned after the score. We'll check out my opponent's board and see what they had going on. So we pulled ahead there. They're going to pull way back here. Yeah, 26. That's just scary. They pull ahead on eggs. Tucks, they got 103. And we got 100 even as predicted. So really good game to my opponent. Let's check out their board here. Actually, stay tuned. Alright, we're back. Out of reflex, I clicked out of the game. So let's see what my opponent had here. 8-point Falconer, we knew that was happening. They did manage to get Eulogist. Ecologist. So that just lined up with the filled columns with them even better. So they had really good bonus card luck here. And Ethologist. So yeah, you can't really complain about that game. Fairly even game. We both had really good cards. Neither one of us had power that just handed the game to the other player, or to themselves, I should say. So once again, good game to my opponent, and thanks for watching, everybody.